Hey guys, VaulSC here. We're going to take a look at a game of infiNity featuring one of the Yuandun closed battle lists that were supported recently by Corvus Belli. I don't think that these lists are very good, but I promised myself that I'd give them a go at some point. So, because I was looking at my shelf and saying, well, it's been a while since I played the old Guija, I thought I'd give list A go, even though I think it's not really one of the better lists amongst lists that are not very, very good. So it's all open information to your opponent, and it includes the Guija itself. Then there's a link team featuring the Crane with multi-rifle and the assault hacking device. Why would you take that? The Zanying Imperial Agent with HMG, fine. Multi-sniper Celestial Guard, fine. Control device Celestial Guard with no Guangxi, whatever. At least you got smoke and a Fort Observer boarding shotgun guy. By the way, the Crane is your lieutenant. Then there's a duo link team of a Sensorbot and Rushi, so not too bad. And the Canren with Killer Hacker, pretty solid, and also Dakini Tac Boat with Paramedic, even though there's no regular hacker to give it assisted fire. No regular hacker to give the Rushi assisted fire, no engineer for your Guija, and no doctor for any of your long-range shooting units either. So, pretty terrible list, but I thought just take it out for a bit of a fun game spin anyway. So this one will be up against JSA, and the mission this time will be unmasking. Actually, no, it won't be. We already played unmasking the previous time. It'll be capture and control. Capture and protect, I should say. And let's just take a look at the battlefield. What color are we going to get this time? Let's get out a green. So this is the left-hand side for, obviously, the Yuandun list, and then we've got JSA on this side. And the idea being that there's one objective here and another objective here. All you've got to do is send somebody around over to it, press the button on it to get the supplies from it, and then move back to your deployment zone and hopefully end the game with one of your troopers holding that objective. And more importantly, if it can be your data tracker holding that objective, you get some bonus points. So that's what that's all about. Link team set up through the middle of the table here. We'll have a closer look at them. So the boys, we've got the Crane hacker. I can't believe he's a hacker. There's the Celestial Guard with multi-sniper, Zanying HMG here. Then there's the Fort Observer with boarding shotgun and the control device next to him. On my left-hand flank, aside from those guys, we've got the Arushi and the Sensorbot. I just had to use a proxy active marker because it looks like a link team marker. And then the Canren with its hollow echoes, the real one being the middle guy with the little Q written on his face. So that's the real Canren right there. Okay, so there you see a bit of a close-up view of him. My opponent playing JSA, we've got a link team, and this link team is quite interesting because he's set down 7 models that can be part of the link team, just in case he loses a couple of them. There's the HMG missile launcher, a couple of Kempai ties. I can't remember the specifics of them. I think there's 1 or 2 just basic combi rifle dudes as well. He's got the Kiroshi Rider back here, Tokusetsu Doctor up here, and forward deployment on the Ryuken Unit 9. There's a bit more of a close-up view, quite good looking with the of yellowish gold stripes on the Kempai tie, quite liking that. Another sort of view of the background. You can also see that there's a camo marker here, which is a mine that belongs to a Raiden who's pictured off. Well, he's not pictured, he's off picture, shall we say. There he is right there. So this is the Raiden with heavy rocket launcher. That's his mine over there. And then we've got, of course, Yojimbo with his little koala dudes nearby as well, also within deployment. And, of course, some hidden deployment guys. My reserve model, of course, being the Guija. Always good to get him on the table. Such a great-looking model. Unfortunately, he's one of the more boring tags and weaker tags in the game, sadly. So, of course, when you're up against a faction that has a missile launcher and a link team just covering a lot of the field, really the only thing you can really do is shoot at it with something which has high burst. This is one of my least favorite things about infiNity, just having to do that trade. As soon as you have a game where the other guy rolls a crit and your best tool for taking it down dies, then it just turns into be a game that you don't have a lot of fun. Having said that, though, the link team with the Zanying takes him to Ballistical 15, 5 dice versus the missiles, 2 shots on 13s. as Anying does destroy the Kaisotsu in this one. Now, seeing that I could actually move down this walkway with the whole Link team, I decided not to go for that whole commitment just because he could spring a Ninja Killer Hacker out of hidden deployment and kill my lieutenant, which is quite horrible. I thought, what if I just move the HMG out of the Link by himself, so I'm only committing one guy and at least picking up a couple of kills, because as we'll see in a moment, by moving across this walkway, he'll come into line of sight of some important models. So, first of all, what he's doing here, just firing at the Ryukin, who's just sticking out under the gap in this bridge here, does get a hit onto her, but she manages to escape and guts prone to somewhere a little bit more, well, providing a bit more coverage, total coverage, shall we say. Next up, we're going to be moving in this direction, hopefully to try to take out the Kuroshi Rider, and then eventually maybe trading for a couple of these guys here at the end. So there she is, escaping quite nicely. Moving further through to the middle, getting a shot off in the distance against one of these Kaisotsus, just eliminating that one, which is sort of out of position. This is the mine, of course, but as long as I don't come too close, or if I stay flat along this side of the walkway, prone on top of the bridge, should be okay to avoid that too. Next up, getting a long-range shot into the spot where the Kuroshi Rider is hiding. After a couple of rounds of HMGs onto that, destroying the Kuroshi Rider. Unfortunate that she can't really do anything because she doesn't have first turn. That is for the Yuandun to do, so there you have it. Moving forward across the walkway again, getting to a spot where we can shoot at the Tokusetsu Doctor as well, and eliminate her. And that's really important because we wouldn't want this this Yao Zhao Palbot here to come over and revive the HMG in the Link team. So destroying the Doctor there is actually quite essential. Seeing that my guy's going to be dying at the end of this, just going prone and walking through, repositioning my Link team as well, just so I've got the multi-sniper there to cover the spot where Yojimbo is going to be appearing with his impetuous move. And then, because my HMG is going to die in his turn quite readily, I decided to move in and try and spray around some shots to get some kills here, just to try and trade this, but unfortunately, my guy got shot here and didn't achieve anything at the end, although he's got a few kills there. He's taken out the Kuroshi Rider, the Doctor, and a Kaisotsu, unfortunately not killing the Ryukin, but he did good anyway. Oh, and not to mention the other missile launcher Kaisotsu. So we've got the sniper set up here, but what my opponent decides to do is reveal a Tio Kama marker on the stairs here and move further down, and all I can really do is discover, by the time he's moved further down here, it's in total cover against the sniper. So moving up alongside the Link team, and what he's going to be trying to do is, this is Saito Togan, of course, trying to get some smoke happening. Now, my opponent originally opted to try and throw some smoke around here, but I tried to explain to him that if you nominate a point for the bottom of the template, it goes in a massive cylinder way up here. But that cylinder can be truncated by nearby terrain. So if you put it right next to the wall, obviously it becomes a cylinder, but anything on the other side of that wall isn't going to be affected by the smoke because the smoke just doesn't go through the wall. So if you don't really have line of sight to the center point of the smoke template, if you're in total cover from that, you're not really touching the smoke. So it's quite easy to have your smoke template truncated by a lot of this terrain around here. So he thought about throwing it across to the other side, but after some discussion, and this is one of these games where I decided to become involved in the problem solving, even from my opponent's perspective, I decided to suggest that maybe he spec fire the smoke above on top of the level here, and then just climb up, because that will allow him to get into close combat through the smoke. Any other option might be a little bit more awkward. Just a point, sometimes when you're playing infiNity the game, you'll be playing quite competitively and in a deliberate attempt to, beat your opponent whatever way you can. And if you can think of a good move for your opponent to do, you'll probably sit back and not say anything because you're hoping your opponent won't see the best options available to them. But if you're playing a bit more of a casual friendly game, sometimes you will instead suggest the best move for your opponent because it's fun just coming up with a solution. In the same way that if you are following chess, for example, and you're talking to somebody about a game that you're currently playing in a more analytical sense rather than a competitive sense, you'll both try and suggest moves and see what the best move is for black or white or whatever's going on. So without further ado, the Saito Togan throws down a smoke grenade right here next to the guys and then climbs up. That's going to allow him to move into close combat with the sniper and easily kill her. Continuing with that, He can actually move into combat with the crane as well, but the crane is almost as good in close combat as Saito Togan is. So again, further offering my opponent some help, I suggested, what about going into Teo Camo state first, spending an order, then attacking to hit me with surprise attack. And because the link is less than 4 models at this point, so 6th Sense level 2 won't be active. So with the surprise attack, Saito Togan definitely has much higher odds of beating the crane, because once you factor in the -6, it's just no contest. So that's what happens. Saito Togan wipes out the crane and puts me in loss of lieutenant. He's then able to go prone, and he's out of orders now, so just sitting at the back of the stairway here. In fact, he did have an additional order, which he ended up not using, at least on this, which he should have really used to go into total cover, because I've got a Rushi nearby which can potentially shoot at him. So when it comes to my turn, I'm in loss of lieutenant, but I can spend an irregular order on the Rushi, and luckily, because Saito Togan is situated right here, from the top of my silhouette, I can see his base and shoot at him. And even though he opted to go into suppression fire instead of moving away, the Rushi is enough to kill him. Really annoyingly, this list doesn't even have assisted fire, so that was pretty stupid, but luckily I managed to get the hit off with the Rushi, but my opponent tanked the armor save anyway, so a little bit lucky of him there to escape with Saito Togan, and game moves on. I'm basically just moving my guys around, putting a couple of people into suppression fire, spending command tokens to turn irregular orders into regular orders, but not really having much of a robust turn as a result of this. So repositioned my my Celestial Guard down here, the Guija just hanging out, still got the other Celestial Guard right there, and going into suppression fire with the Rushi, also relocating the Kanren team a little bit of Hollow Echoes. As I relocate them, he decides to respond with a Oniwaban, even though he hasn't worked out which one's the real Hollow Echo. So the Oniwaban responds against this fake Hollow Echo, and then I can easily just move the real one right here over to the corner. So a bit of a mistake revealing him there, because now the Kanren moves through and is able to shoot at him with his combi rifle, and after a couple of attempts, does manage to kill him. And remember, here I'm using my command tokens to turn irregular orders into regular orders to basically fuel this short attempt, but he does manage to destroy the Oniwaban by the time this is done. Right, so my opponent's turn. He's now moving out with a Yojimbo, although Yojimbo does run into a flash pulse from my Vault Observer across the other side of the table, situated right here. So a bit of a long-range flash pulse, and hilariously, the flash pulse hits Yojimbo in the eye and blinds him, and he can't do any more actions this turn. But that's okay, he can still keep his koalas in a place next to his objective, which I'm still trying to capture in my last turn, so that's still fine. There is a Ryukin who can now move over to have a go at the Kanren. She doesn't want to come up to the edge here, and again, volunteering some assistance to my opponent by suggesting that if he does this, I'll chain cult him. Originally, the plan was to move right to the edge here, so instead decides to move somewhere else. Initially firing at my Celestial Guard here, but attempting to throw down a smoke grenade in response to special dodge with. Sadly, that doesn't work, and the Celestial Guard is killed. And then he sets up his what do you call these guys? Kaisotsu here with the Link team, the Kenpaitai, just spending a command token to get them reactivated. They have a go at shooting the Guija, who unfortunately fails an armor save, sadly. So it's the HMG in this picture. I've already killed his missile launcher, but once he reactivates his Link team, he gets the HMG in there, firing at the Guija in the distance. Guija fails an armor save, unluckily. Armor 11 still fails one. And has to guts back into total cover. Notice that it's really important to leave a gap here and his base here and not touch the edge, because I need to actually be able to see past the gap with the Rushi, otherwise Saito Togan can come back down here and cause me some problems. So that's the reason for that positioning on the Guija. Here's Raiden revealing now and trying to fire at my Celestial Guard, who's way in the distance, but after we work out the math for it, the Raiden's at long range through a small little forest planter here, and up against cover as well, so needing, I think, 3 on 1 dice, whereas the Fort Observer can just flash pulse him back, and nothing ends up happening as a result of this little shootout. So unfortunate for the Raiden. And then, as I advised earlier, he's moved through as his Ryukin, done a lean-out move across the side of this, able to shoot at the Kanren, and from that range with the submachine gun, is able to take him out. And then just moving back prone here. We're also repositioning the link team a little bit just to tuck people down and make sure that they are not receiving too many arrows. And in my last turn, of course, the Guija has become the lieutenant now. I've literally only got, I think, 5 orders. There's a Rushi, Sensorbot, Guija, Celestial Guard, and Paramedic, plus the lieutenant's order. So not a lot I can really do. Guija's now moving out and is going to be moving right down here to try and pick up the objective. So doing that, moving around here, getting to a point where he can shoot at Yojimbo. Unfortunately, the Crazy Koala going off and hitting the tag. Me rolling a 1 for the armor save, so losing another wound, hilariously. Yojimbo planting some smoke down in response. The tag shoots at him with the heavy flamer. Still doesn't kill him with the heavy flamer, unfortunately. And with the smoke grenade going down, well, it goes down after this photo, the tag picks up the objective and runs away with it. But he's out of orders, because he only had about 6 orders to do this, where he's pulled back over to here. He's going to be in line of sight of the link team. Yojimbo's easily going to be able to come after him. Saito Togan's still over here. Although Saito's going to have a more difficult route getting across there because there's a bit of covering fire from the Rishi. But I have got the objective. So Yojimbo comes screaming out now. The tag firing the explosive round at him, still failing to do that, of course, and Yojimbo throws the smoke down right next to him, so easy for Yojimbo to go in now, and Yojimbo screams into close combat. Now, hilariously, Yojimbo loses the first round of close combat because the Guija at like CC 18 or something like that rolls high and Yojimbo rolls low. But the tag has only got an AP weapon, which is stupid. I mean, I can't believe that the tag is not better at close combat given how good his sword looks. So Yojimbo takes a wound. It doesn't matter. He's got NWI and he's still CC 24 for the next round. So he hits the tag tanks the armor saves. He's only got 1 wound left, but still hits him again. Tag tanks the other armor saves. And then Yojimbo whiffs the next roll and dies. So we thought that was pretty hilarious. Well, my opponent didn't, but I thought it was funny. So Yojimbo's dead. But of course, he's got a link team with MSV2 here, so they stand up, shoot through the smoke, blast the Guija, fails the armor save, and the Guija dies. So I effectively lose the game there, because, again, actually no. He's got his Ryuken here, which can shoot at me as well with the AP gun. The Guija actually tanks the armor saves from the Mark 12 and pulls back, but it's the Ryuken that kills the Rishi finally, the Guija finally. So my opponent looks at this and goes, well, he can move Saito down here, but he'd have to avoid the Rishi. So again, in continuing to assist my opponent with ideas, he was thinking about jumping down from this side after going prone and moving up here. I told him he should just go into Marker State first, move down here, and then have a couple of goes at the objective, which of course he does and wins. So this was quite a collaborative game. It was also quite a funny game in terms of the luck. In the first turn, I was actually extremely lucky that Zanyang with HMG was rolling crit after crit after crit. Even though he was actually expected to win the face-to-face rolls, I got a little bit unlucky with some of my Guija's armor saves initially. Unlucky with him, but then I got lucky with him tanking Yojimbo. That definitely shouldn't have happened. So yeah, it was a game that swung back and forth in terms of luck. I finally tested one of the Yuandun lists. I can say it's an absolutely terrible list, but we still had a good time regardless. And there's Saito Togan. This is actually a conversion of the Saito head on top of the old Oniwaban body. He just hasn't assembled the arms on it yet, as you can tell. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll be back with some more reports soon.